Dude, there's so many fish over here. Howdy guys, I'm Kellogg and Trout Fishing School is in session. I'm going to break down how you can go out and catch a mess of trout at one of our local lakes. It's beautiful out here in the Sierra foothills. The sun is out. I got short sleeves on. If you'd have been here 48 hours ago though, it wasn't so beautiful. It was probably blowing 45 miles an hour and snowing absolutely sideways, but all that's gone now. We got a little shot of fair weather coming in. This weekend is the Super Bowl. Go Niners. And guys are already starting to think ahead to the spring trout season. Had my buddy Jed and his two boys reach out to me last night and they said, I'm going up to Collins Lake for the President's Day weekend. How am I going to catch fish up there? And I've gotten several other correspondences like that. People asking me how they're going to catch fish at Collins Lake now, how they're going to catch fish at Collins Lake later on. And you know, that's because it's one of the most popular low elevation lakes in Northern California. We're fortunate here in California. Our spring fishing gets off to an early start. Our lakes, for the most part, aren't under 2 feet of ice like they are in Minnesota or somewhere like that. Our climate is pretty temperate, overall. Our high country lakes, they're going to be, locked in the snow for a while, but fishing is already underway at Collins Lake and it's going to continue to be really, really good right on through the month of May. So let's get into it. How do you go up to Collins Lake and how do you catch trout? I've been fishing the lake for 30 years, all right? But I've been fishing the lake intensely for the last 4 years because I guide up there every fall and every spring, and I fish just about every day for several months. And what I can tell you is Collins Lake is a very unique lake in terms of the way that you approach it to maximize success, okay? Wes was up at the lake, I want to say, excuse me, I gotta wipe my nose. Wes was up at the lake about 10 days ago, I believe, before this last big shot of weather came through. He saw surface temperatures in the low 50-degree range, and he had very good success trolling from his kayak, trolling shallow water. You're seeing some of that footage, right now. Trolling in his kayak in shallow water, and he was pulling Trout Trix worms, okay? The temperature was good, and the clarity was pretty good as well. Now, I guarantee you the surface temperature is colder right now and the water is more stained because we went through some really big winds, some really heavy rain, and the end of this last series of storms was really cold. So water's going to be murkier, which I don't worry that much about that. I used to, but after fishing some really muddy water and having a lot of success catching trout in it, don't worry about that so much anymore. But the water is likely below 50 degrees, and that can make the fish a little lethargic. Doesn't mean you can't catch them trolling. It means if you really, really want to catch fish, you might have to break out some bait. Now, I know there's some purists out there like, I only catch them trolling. That's cool. But if you want to go up there and you want to bring home some fish, trolling is probably a really good option, but I would be prepared with a bottle or 2 or 4 of green garlic power bait. All the colors and flavors of power bait work at Collins Lake. I've used them all, but none of them, in my opinion, and that's opinion based on hundreds, if not thousands of trout seen caught on power bait up there, the green garlic is the stuff you want to use. Simple sliding sinker rig, 18-inch leader, keep it shallow, keep it near shore, keep it in 10 feet of water or less. And remember, if you're fishing from the bank and you're casting out, don't cast past the fish. I found this out fishing power bait from my power boat. Try to say that a few times up there. I would cast towards the shore and I caught fish all the way up to and beyond 10 pounds fishing the bait within a yard of the bank. They come right up on the shoreline when the water's cool, guys. So don't cast way out. If you're fishing off the bank, you got a 2-rod sticker, pitch one rod out into what you figure is about 10 feet of water, pitch your other rod out into, 3 feet of water, and kind of step away from it. Be quiet on the bank. Don't be stomping your feet and all that kind of stuff. Give each spot about 30 minutes. If you don't get hit, make a move. And you don't have to make a long move. Move 50 or 100 yards. Try it again. Keep working that pattern until you get hit. And if you get a few hits and then the fish stop biting, move 50 yards. Sometimes I would move the big old pontoon boat 100 yards and I would find a whole new group of fish. So, number one thing you should have with you if you're a boater or if you're going out to fish off the bank is the green garlic power bait. It flat out catches fish. And if you're like me, you want to take some fish home to eat. And I don't really care if I catch them on a fly or a spoon or, green Play-Doh like that. So enough said about the power bait. Stuff's remarkable. It works really well. Let's talk trolling, okay? This is based on literally hundreds of days on the water at Collins Lake. Before I started guiding there, I would have told you the number 1 and number 2 offerings out there are a chrome and blue Castmaster and a black and silver Rapala. Those offerings work, okay? If I went out before I was guiding up there and I caught 3 or 4 fish, maybe a nice 4 or 5 pound fish, I was a happy camper. All of a sudden now, though, I've got 3 or 4 clients on the boat, which means to get limits, I need 15 or 20 trout. And spoons, a lot of the time, they're not going to provide that kind of action. Right here, I got a pink trigger spoon. It's a fine lure when the fish want to chase. Unfortunately, they're not always in a mindset to chase. Sometimes the fish are neutral. Doesn't mean they're not willing to feed, but they're not willing to make a big move and chase. So let's get into the trolling lures. Number 1 choice for consistent results at Collins Lake are the soft plastics, okay? This is, right now, right on through May, number 1 bait is a soft plastic. And I fish primarily 3 different shapes. I fish the Trout Trix worm right there, and I team all these soft plastics with an action disc in general. Frank is hooked up on the other pink worm. The port side pink worm. Okay, nice fish. This grouper, another good one. What are you doing?
Man, these are all nice sized fish, man. Darn.
I've got the Trout Trix worm right there. Pink is great. Orange works well. Sometimes white works well. But the number 1 offering is a Trout Trix worm trolled from 1.8 to 2.2 miles an hour with no blades, no dodgers, no nothing. Naked with an action disc. Get the hook back towards the tail of the worm and you're going to be yelling fish on. Now that's my number 1 soft plastic. My number 2 soft plastic is right here. It is the Trigger Minnow. Rigged the same way as I rig the Trout Trix worm. Action disc, put a hook in it. 1.8 to 2.2. Number 1 color up there for me is orange, but I catch a lot of fish on the natural colored minnow too. So number 2 choice, Trigger Minnow. Good strategy if you're going out by yourself. You're going to run 2 rods. Run 1 rod with a Trout Trix, 1 rod with a Trigger Minnow, and I think you're going to be catching fish. Number 3 choice is the soft plastic FHS trolling grub right there. Now, trout hit these a lot, but there is one problem with them. If the trout are a little bit neutral, they will still hit them, but I want to show you something about a grub here. This is a 3-inch grub. If you stretch his tail out like it is in the water when you're trolling it, look at all this tail. See all this tail right here? All this tail, the hook's over here. So the trout has a really good opportunity to come in and grab it by the tail and play with the tail and mess with the tail. And in so doing, they will drive you absolutely nuts if they're not active enough to engulf the bait. If you're seeing that you're trolling a grub, you should do 2 things. 1, when that fish is biting, you'll see that, don't touch the rod. Let him keep screwing around with it. He may get hooked. But if you're getting those short strikes on that tail, you can either add a stinger hook, which is kind of a pain on a grub, or bust out the Trout Trix worm and rig it such that the hook bend is way back there. And he nips at it, it's going to loop right around his lower jaw or get him right in the hard part of his nose. Fish on, you're going to put that fish in the boat. So those are your number one class of lures, the soft plastics. They'll catch you a lot of numbers at Collins Lake. They'll catch you a lot of limits, and they will catch some big fish. Now let's go to the second class of lure that I really like to pull up there. And these are the lures that probably catch, I'm going to say 80% of my trout over 6 pounds. And I'm talking about trolling flies. Try not to get hooked. The hooks are all hidden in that fur and marabou right there. Trolling flies. Number one trolling fly up there for the past several years has been the pink and white metalhead, followed by the black and green or the black and red metalhead. Those are awesome. 1, 2. Those are my 1 and 2 favorite flies up there. Guys, got wind this morning, power trolling, black metalhead, at least 6 pounds, man. Beautiful trout, big fish. We're just getting started. Black metalhead, number 2 big fish today, guys. We're having to work for them, but there are some big fish out here. We're pulling the metalhead, guys, down 10 feet. And look what Robin got. Big old 6-pound rainbow right there. Awesome. Awesome. Up there, and my third favorite fly is just one of my standard trolling flies, this big fuzzy one, and it does come equipped with the hook connected to a piece of wire, so the hook is way back towards the end of that tail when you're trolling that. I team all the flies with an action disc. Usually don't team them with blades or flashers or anything like that. I run those anywhere from 1.8 all the way to 3 miles an hour. That is my number one offering for really big fish. Our 2 biggest fish that we've ever caught at Collins Lake while guiding, one was 13 pounds, one was 12.6. Both came on that fly. Had a couple police officers. Well, one's a police officer, one's a public works guy from Washington. Pete and Mike, they came out with me not last spring, but the spring before. We were pulling this fly right here. We had a double hookup. It was in April. Got an 11-pounder and a 6-pounder. We landed both of those fish. A double hookup with an 11 and a 6, guys. That's what trolling flies can do. We were trolling at about 10 feet of water, sweeping this along at about 8 feet deep. Right after lunch, game on. Number 1 offering, soft plastics. Number 2 offering, trolling flies. And running third, and a fairly distant third, is some sort of spoon. If the fish are active and the fish are chasing, you can do well on spoons and rapalas at Collins Lake. But day in, day out, every day of the spring, every day of the fall, you are going to be best served if you want to troll the soft plastics and to troll the flies, okay? I wouldn't BS you. I want you to catch fish. That's just the way it is. And now I'm going to give you one more tip, and this is going to be a game changer, and this is going to make a lot of guys scratch their heads, and some guys aren't going to want to listen. They're not going to believe me, okay? The number 1 way to go to Collins Lake and troll and not catch fish is to rely on your downriggers and spend too much time looking at your sonar unit, okay? There's always fish at Collins Lake down 40, 50, 35 feet. Those trout, some of them are trout, some of them are bass, those fish are inactive. They are not feeding. You can downrig on those fish until your eyes roll back in your head, and you're not going to have a very good day. The marks look great. They're tempting. They're down there. You drop down with the downrigger, and they don't hit because they're not feeding, not in the mindset to feed. You want to target the top 15 feet of the water column. Some days it's all about the top 5 feet of the water column. You want to target the surface water anytime there's, a low light level, overcast, evening, morning, anytime you've got ripple on top, and anytime the water is below 65 degrees, I guarantee you there are rainbows near the surface, and those fish that have elevated in the water column are the fish that are most likely to bite. Now you're thinking, well, I can put my downrigger down at 10 feet. Yes, you can. I don't know why this is the case. This lead core outfit right here, my hybrid lead core outfit, I don't care if you buy mine. Get a rod, put lead core on it, put 3 colors of lead core on it. This one's rigged up with a fisheye dodger and a white trigger minnow. I was running this for kings at Folsom, seeing if I could get them to go on that. But anyway, run lead core, 1 color, 2 miles an hour. 1 color's 30 feet long, 10 yards. That will get you down 5 feet. 2 colors, 10 feet. 3 colors, 15 feet. For whatever reason, and I don't understand it myself, lead core head to head with a downrigger will outfish the downrigger. Don't know why. Now, I know there's a guy out there and he's like, my dad met the man that met Daniel Boone, and they invented the downrigger, and by God, it works great. It doesn't work great. It doesn't work great if you want maximum success. Get yourself some lead core. You want 1 line, top line, right under the surface. You want a line at 5. You want a line at 10. Put in some time. Put a trigger minnow on 1 rod. Trout Trix on the other, and run that fly back 200 feet with a little sinker on it just to get it down 1 or 2 feet below the surface. That's how I catch my limits. That's how I catch fish every day for my clients at Collins Lake. Again, not here to BS you guys. I'm here to tell you the facts and help you catch more and bigger trout. Collins Lake can be challenging, especially when you consider it's a very small lake, 1,200 acres when it's brim full. They're going to put 30,000 pounds of Lassen rainbows in that lake this year, and there are days when they are exceedingly difficult to catch. I don't know why, but I know if you're looking for consistency, soft plastics, trolling flies, and lead core will make it happen for you. It happens for me, it will happen for you too. Guys that go out there and run my method, they seldom get skunked, and they have some very, very good days. Anyway, I hope that helped you catch fish at Collins Lake this spring. If you take my advice, I know it will help you catch fish at Collins Lake. That dog's barking at me. I'm going to get out of here for now. I'm Kellogg. Go Niners, and I will catch you next time right here on YouTube, guys. You have a great day, great weekend, and let's get out on the water and yell, fish on. Thank you.